Hello everyone, and welcome to a demonstration of the Green IT views by Sentry Software, an add-on component for BMC's TrueSight presentation server. Here, if we look in the TrueSight presentation server console, we will see an additional component, Green IT. If we click on Green IT, we will see the three grouping mechanisms that BMC TrueSight uses to group devices together. So if you've already defined, for example, applications, groups, or services, these views will leverage these existing mechanisms. So if we go into groups, we will see the three groups that are defined on this TrueSight presentation server. Data center 10, 11, and 33. Under each data center, we will have a summary of the information about it. Let's go into one of them. So let's look at data center 11 in more detail. At the top here, we see summary information about it. Total power usage, heating margin, and ambient temperature. What is a heating margin? A heating margin is a summary of how close a server or any other equipment is to its thermal limit. If we take the difference between the current temperatures and their thresholds, we get a margin of 30 degrees for processors, 20 for the ambient air, which is the air inside the chassis, and 25 for the power supply. If we take the minimum of this, we get 20 degrees. So we know that this entire server is at least 20 degrees away from its thermal limit. What does that mean? Well, if we look at the data center as a whole, we know that all systems are at least 18 degrees away from their thermal limits. So maybe we want to increase the temperature and save a bit of money. On the right here, we see the kilowatts, dollars, and CO₂ emitted by this group by day, month, and year. How do we know the cost you pay for your electricity and how much CO₂ emitted? Well, we don't, but this is configurable. So if you can find out the amount your company pays for electricity and the CO₂ emitted by your local electricity provider, you can enter this information here under settings. If your data centers are in separate cities and have different electricity and CO₂ emissions, you can define this by group. If you have a lot of groups that are not specific to geographical locations, you can actually put a filter and say only take groups that start with data center. And you will only see these groups under the groups tab. What else do we have here? If we go back to the groups, we can click on individual servers to see their power consumption over time, the cooling over time, and what is currently being monitored in terms of hardware. If you have applications defined, these will also have the same summary and individual information given in a view about them. So where do we get the information to populate these views? From the Hardware Sentry KM, which of course you're using already. This KM collects the power usage and temperature information that we use in the views. What does this mean? It means that this solution is software only. There is no additional hardware to install and uses your existing TrueSight platform. Therefore, there is no need to wait. Install Sentry's Green IT solution today. If you're interested in what else Sentry has developed recently, please check out our other videos. We've got a video on Green IT, the new views and GUI for the Hardware KM, the Monitoring Studio GUI, and a video about creating Monitoring Studio templates. Thank you for watching.